This is Big Girl Pants Podcast,
where we talk about women, health, power, and wealth.
Hosted by
April Melton
and Kimberly Shapiro.
We are real women with real jobs doing real life.
Join us while we showcase inspirational stories and inspirational people.
Come on, y'all. Put your big girl pants on and stay tuned. Hi.
What?
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Oh my
First of all,
gosh.
listeners. I don't know if you guys noticed, but we're kind of in a new space.
This is a real studio. Like, this is legit.
And we sound amazing.
So great. I can't believe it.
There's no messing with microphones.
No. We have someone helping us do all the things we never really actually figured out how to do.
In 100 episodes, we never actually figured it out.
Actually did it. But now we do.
But like these
no,
microphones, I mean, look at these microphones. They're so sexy. I just want to lick them.
Oh, so sexy. Listen, so great. And take a look around. This is like a real studio.
It's like absorbing our sound and our echoey walls.
We've graduated.
High five.
High five.
Welcome to the big leagues.
Big Girl Pants Podcast.
Big Girl Pants Podcast. Episode what?
I have no idea.
Dude, I think this is 99.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
We published 97, but then we had to take it down.
Yeah. And, since this is going to be the relaunch of Big Girl Pants Podcast.
Yeah. Can this be season 2, episode 1?
Yes. Season 2.
Episode 1.
What?
Hello.
But I will say, there is a guest out there, and thank you for your patience. Thank you for...
You are so kind.
Wow. We actually recorded in September, and listen... 2020 was a dumpster fire for so many different reasons.
Agreed.
But we recorded with this amazing guest. It was wonderful dialogue, and we never posted it. So if you're listening to this, you are going to be episode 2, I guess, season 2, episode 2.
Sure.
So, yeah. Sorry about that.
That's okay. It happens.
Stay tuned.
Excellent.
So that'll be coming up.
So relaunch, what does that mean?
So that means, what it really means, everyone, is April didn't like her photo and we had to redo it.
What it really means, everyone, is April lost like 30 pounds and she didn't want like fat in her podcast photo anymore.
Whatever. And we did go kind of a quarter, with
without any episodes.
Yeah. And I also think
without many episodes.
Without many, right. And I also think sort of our refocus on the content and what we talk about. I dropped my phone. Hold, please.
I'll keep going. No worries, guys. Shapiro dropped her phone. It was in her lap. She was trying to hide it.
I know this looks so sexy too on camera.
You're so hot. You're so hot. So hot.
But anyway, so I also know we wanted to kind of refocus content and what we talked about and stay away from some topics, have more of other topics.
Well, and I think it's more of like a focus, right?
Yeah.
Because before, and this was definitely driven by me, I was like, oh my God, I think you have a cool story. Come on my podcast, which I still like that approach.
Yeah.
But I want it to be more segmented. Like, okay, what is it? What kind of value are you adding for our listeners, et cetera? And like, I still want to have conversations. There's a girl that I want to talk to. She's actually been on the podcast before who just went through a pretty bad breakup.
Yeah.
And you and I have been in situations like that before, and less about the actual breakup and more about the triumph out of it.
Yes.
Because you were so helpful to me when I went through my breakup in 2018. Right. You literally came, Wonder Woman, cape on, everything, saved my life, moved me into my apartment, organized everything. You were the savior that I needed in that moment, and that's for sure a universe thing, and I want to be that to other women.
Oh, I love that.
I mean, I charge an hourly rate of $50, but...
She still hasn't paid me. I sent the bill.
I know. It was 3 years ago. When are you going to pay me? But yeah, like I want less about my personal life and dating and all of that stuff and relationships. Not the nitty gritty, but more of like
add value, the value add, how it can inspire other people who are going through similar
situations,
trials. And yes, I love that. I think that's great. And a lot of people, we have met so many people right here in DFW, authors, business owners,
entrepreneurs,
people who are just, I don't want to say rebooting, but they're just like, they're doing new things with their lives, like complete, like 180s with their lives, which is so cool.
And with 2020. I mean, 2020 really like put things into perspective, and a lot of people had to pivot, right? I just think
Well,
of that.
everybody.
I just think of that Friends episode with the couch.
Pivot. I know.
But yeah, they had
Okay.
to pivot during 2020, and I want to talk about stories like that.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
that kind of gets us into what we want to talk about on this episode is like
Yes.
what we learned in 2020, how 2020 was a really valuable learning experience.
I mean, it was a dumpster fire, but it was still valuable. I think so much good did come out of it. I think a lot of eye-opening experiences as well. I think people finally realized it's not like everybody or no one knew the media was kind of against us or pitting us against each other. But I think people really get it now.
Well, and I think that
Like-
I think that previously we were all caught up in our own lives and in our
That's the-
own stuff
Yep,
that
yep.
we didn't have the time to sit and watch the media divide us. We were like,
Yeah.
oh, that Democrats, Republicans, yeah, whatever. I'm going to go watch my kids' sports game or watch a
Right.
professional sports game or go travel to Mexico or go do this or
Exactly.
go do that. And now with everything stopped,
Yep.
it was like, whoa.
For sure. So before we started recording and before we get into the lessons of 2020, I have to share a story. So I have not gone to the gym in about a year. And if anybody, if you're an old listener and you're joining us again, you know that April works out 5-6 times a day. That's what it feels like.
You're like, every time I watch your stupid Instagram story, you're at the gym.
I do feel like it's morning, noon, and night, and maybe somewhere in between. So she inspired me to, as well as the book. Everybody's heard me talk about it. David Goggins.
I love that you mentioned that, by the way, on the Who You Know show.
I know.
I was like, oh,
so
I'm so
true.
proud.
And
I'm
it
so
didn't. It
proud.
was not even a hot minute or a second.
I
Like
know.
he's like, "What's your favorite
Can't
book?"
Hurt Me.
Can't hurt me. David
That's it.
Goggins.
David Goggins.
It's so
He's
good.
amazing.
It's
Love
so
him.
great. So that book inspired me to start working out as well. But then, COVID hit, gym shut down. And so I guess that meant, I thought that meant you should shut down too.
Right.
Like you should not eat healthy. You should not work out.
For sure.
You should definitely wear stretch pants every day.
Absolutely.
Don't get your nails done. Don't wear makeup. Really just stop being you. This is the message.
Anything
that I
that
got.
you were before,
Just
we're
don't-
not doing that
just
anymore.
don't do that.
Yeah, thank you.
Don't do that. So I kind of had a little epiphany at the beginning of 2021 that, okay, we got to get this back on track. We can't do this anymore. So decided to go back to the gym, and there is a gym in my office building.
Nice. I forgot about that.
Yeah, stay tuned. So I'm back to the 5 a.m. Wake up at 5,
Perfect,
get to the
I
gym
love
at
it.
5:30.
Yep.
So I wake up Monday morning, alarm goes off. But Sunday I had worked. And I left. I get to the office at 5:30, realize I don't have my purse. And I'm like, damn it, I left my purse on my desk in the building.
Oh, no.
So I have to go track down the security guard this is easy to do in Granite Properties at 5:30 in the morning. No. No. So I have to go find him because, of course, he's not answering the phone. There's like a thing
Yeah.
that says call for security.
Right.
Thank God I'm not being, abducted or raped or anything because they definitely would not have saved me. But anyway, so I find him, I get in, I get the little card, and I trek back out. It's in a different building than the one that our office is in. So I walk down, and my card, which is supposed to work to get me in that building, doesn't.
Great.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine.
Recipe for success.
It's fine. So I have to track down a new security guard because it's a different building. Finally get him. Finally get in the door. Thank you, sir, so much. I really appreciate it. And then I trek on down to the gym. Okay. So my card doesn't work to get me in the gym. At this point, I'm like, is this a sign? Maybe
is the
I should
universe
just
telling me I should
go to
not work at.
McDonald's. I think I should just go to
I
McDonald's.
really need an Egg McMuffin
I
and
think
a
I just need an Egg
coffee.
McMuffin and a coffee. So I power through and I get the security guard again and I get in and I do my workout.
Good for you.
So then I get back. Now I'm done with my workout and I'm going to go take a shower. I get to the door, like the women's locker room, to which you need a pass to get in. Yeah. Mine's in the locker room because I didn't realize, I just didn't register at what was 6:15 at this point because, I wanted to be at the gym by 5:15, but through all the trials, it was 6:15. So nonetheless, I can't get in. So I have to go find the security guard. Again, to let me in the women's locker room.
So you guys are on a first name basis now.
I mean, we're
He loves you.
besties.
He loves
we
you.
are besties.
Game over.
I get in and I'm like, this is fine. You know what? At the end of the day, I got my workout done.
Right.
I can check the box. I'm feeling good about myself.
Feeling good.
Maybe a little frustrated, but it's fine.
And it's
Let's
Monday.
take a shower now. This is good. So I look around and I'm like, there's no towels anywhere. And anywhere. But it's fine. And when I toured, because I toured a week before, right, there were towels. Just saying. No towels. But I'm like, you know what? It's fine. I've got something. Surely I have something. I mean, I know now, bring your own towel.
Sure.
It's fine.
I'll choose my workout clothes to dry off, whatever.
Surely I've
Been
got
there before.
something. Well, I had a jacket that is kind of like a fleece material.
Sure.
So I thought, it's fine. I can make this work. So I get into the shower area. I completely strip down naked. I have nothing on. I reach in to turn on the shower. The shower heads are gone. Like they're gone. Like they've taken them off because, well, it's because of COVID. You know, you shouldn't be showering in public places where, you know, when COVID's out there because, you know, you could get it or you could give it to someone else. So they have the shower heads taken. They're gone. There's no towels. I am now.
Did the water come out?
No, it doesn't turn on. Like you can't.
The shower's off.
It's off.
It's off.
It's off. Right. And
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh.
And it's kind of funny because I did know that like there was a rule of no showers, but I was like, yeah, I don't really care. I'm still going to take a shower. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, whatever.
Stop me.
Over you, yeah.
They stopped me. They stopped me. So, I'm now a proud member of Lifetime. I started on Tuesday morning. I was like, you have to be kidding me. I think this is a sign.
Did you guys, we can talk about this offline, off the air, but we're moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and there's a Lifetime by us.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe when we record, maybe we could work out on Saturday mornings together and then come record together.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
No, I love it. I was at Body Machine Fitness, which I loved.
Right.
I really did. But just to be really honest, it was a little expensive.
Yeah.
And I just thought until I get Kylie's wedding paid for, my youngest daughter is getting married in April. Yeah, it's so fun. So I thought, well, let me get that past me and then I'll probably just go back there.
Sure.
Maybe. I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll
Whatever.
see. I love the sauna and the
Dude,
eucalyptus.
that's my biggest thing is the sauna.
Yeah.
I love the sauna there.
Me too. And you don't get that at Body Machine. So stay tuned. We'll
And
figure it
like
out.
to be fair, Lifetime has so many amenities and so
So
many
many.
classes. They have hot yoga, they have spin,
know.
they have a way. Like it's worth it for me.
I love it.
I feel like I can save money elsewhere to invest into that because that's my happy place.
Yeah, and for me and Brad to both go because I signed both of us up.
Right.
It's still so much cheaper than
Body Machine,
just me,
just for you,
going to Body Machine.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I will say I have to give Body Machine a plug,
of course,
because they're great. I mean, they're worth it,
and you love it.
I love it. It's like it's energetic. It just something happens when you walk into that place. It's electric. It's a lot of
energy.
fun.
The energy is
so it's well worth the money.
Right.
I just need to wait until I get the wedding paid for, so I feel like I'm not, I don't know. It's just a lot. So I do want to give them that plug because I think it's an amazing place.
Of course.
And it's like,
and Georgia Green, Gigi introduced you to it.
For real. And you see results from that place so quick. I'm just telling you. I mean, do you remember when I was going consistently?
I remember looking at your shoulders and being like,
I had a muscle. I had a muscle. It was the first one in my life.
Multiple muscles.
It was the first one in my whole life. I was so excited. So anyway, that's kind of my saga, my gym saga.
That's okay. I love it. I'm into it. I'm just so happy that you're going back.
Me too.
We should do hot yoga. Actually, there's a yoga studio that's about to open, and we're gonna get her on the studio. It's called Karma. It's in Frisco, and I think that we should try it as a means of getting out in the community and meeting more people.
For sure.
Because it's called Karma, and it's gonna be in Frisco, and even like the mayor of Frisco works out there.
Okay, I love it.
It's super cool. But her name's Jenny Dean Fitness, and she's on Instagram.
Okay.
She's amazing, and we're gonna have her on as soon as she's back. Right now, she's in Jamaica for a yoga retreat.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
I know, it's amazing.
So
2020.
2020. Let's cheers to the fact that it's over.
Oh, cheers.
Damn.
Ah.
Nah. Okay,
And
here's the good stuff.
Even for the bad things that happened, there was so much good that came out of it, and
I think
so many lessons.
So many lessons. I think everybody. We actually had an episode. I want to say maybe May, where we talked a little bit about what we were learning through the process, which was slowing down and just appreciating
More things.
Your family, because you're not so busy. You're not running from the gym to work to kids.
Yeah. There's a country song. I think the line in the country song is "All settled for a slowdown."
Yeah,
that's essentially what we did.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I think that was a huge lesson. But I think from more of a work perspective, I think organizations now realize
they're over it.
Well, not even that. I think they realize that, we can trust our employees to work from home. They actually can be productive. So, and I'm not saying that's across the board in every industry, but I do think kind of as a whole that a lot of organizations and are
a lot
seeing
of
that
positions,
they can trust their employees.
A lot of positions. Well, and that's the thing too is like, what would you, I personally would say from my experience, because for those of you who are listening or maybe watching for the first time, Shapiro and I both work in staffing and recruiting.
Yeah.
And a lot of organizations, I think, needed the push of 2020 so that they could trust their employees, because you and I have been saying for years, mostly you.
Mostly me.
You can do remote job. Like, you can work remote. Remote is possible.
Yes.
For a lot of roles.
Right.
And there's still some, like, our organizations, I still prefer to be in office.
Me too.
On some days, right? But if I'm at home doing an admin day or doing my expenses for the last 3 months, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just doing paperwork and I don't necessarily have to be there, but it is like your work family, but it's also sales. And I feel like sales and being in the pit and being in all that.
I mean,
like,
for me, it was focus. I admire people who can work at home and stay focused and do their job. I think a lot of it is self-awareness too. Like, if you know that is not your jam, like you're not going to be productive at home, then own it, right? Just own it and get your butt back to the office. And that was me.
Yeah.
So
Same.
We went home, what was the second week of March, and then by the second week of April, I'm like, I'm outie. So I packed up everything and went back to the office and never went home again.
Yeah,
like,
and
it just is not for me.
Right. And don't get me wrong, being at home for that month was nice. And it was like, I could go to bed a little bit later because I could literally roll out of bed at 7:30 and do my job. But it was like, I love the structure of getting up in the morning, getting ready, you know what I mean? Like,
I do too. I need that.
Suiting up.
I need that for sure. But for me, it's also about focus. When I'm at home, there's laundry. There's something that, I can organize or I can clean. Or, there was one day, and I don't know if you remember this, it was like back in first week of April, and I just went off. I started researching stuff, and I don't even know.
Yeah, you were like way off in the.
I was in some research la land, researching something that had no relevance to my life, my work. I was in school at the time; it had nothing to do with that. I was just like in a rabbit hole, and it wasn't even politics. It was nothing. It was just, what was it? The Roman Empire or something like that.
Yes, April. I'm just going down. I'm just researching all of these. Did you know this, and this, and this,
like,
and this?
And I didn't want to.
I actually didn't know that, but thank you, Shapiro, for the lesson.
I don't know what happened. I was just like, okay, I got to get out of here. This is crazy. This is not for me. So
you
learned
be
in the office.
You learned that being in the office is optimal for you.
For me. Yep.
For your work style.
But I did learn, I was one of those leaders who was not so inclined to trust my employees to work from home. It's not even about a trust thing. It's just I kind of felt like people are more productive around people who are doing like-minded activities and tasks.
Sure.
And I just thought
assimilation.
It kept everyone focused.
Right.
And I think it does to some degree, but I also learned that they don't have to do that. Like, I know my team can work from home and be quite productive,
right?
Which I would have never given them the opportunity to even show me that was a possibility.
And I feel like I think that empowering people produces empowered people. Like
100%. You have got to trust your people. You have to trust them to do the job. And if you don't trust them, they stop trusting themselves.
Yes.
So I do think there's a little bit something to be said for that as well. But because we're in recruiting, I think that it is important that you're together. You just kind of feed off of each other. You need that energy.
Well, and I'll be honest, it's really tough for me because we have a couple of people in my office who permanently work remote.
Right.
And it is not the same picking up the phone and calling your coworker than it is walking out of your office and talking to them at their desk.
Well, and things, you know how at work things kind of get misconstrued or taken in the wrong way.
No.
Especially with email and texting.
Does that happen?
It does.
You can't hear diction or tone through a text message?
You can't. It's crazy. So when you're in the office, you can just look at them and go, dude, well, first of all, you're not going to have the email. Right. You're just going to say what you need to say.
Yes.
And it's so much faster and nothing is getting taken out of context. And it's just...
No one's being passive-aggressive.
Nobody's being passive-aggressive.
Email or text message.
Right. So I don't know. So that's why, do I think our jobs could be done 100% from home or remotely? Yes, I do. But I also think you would miss that the energy and just the interaction.
And it very much is. And I will say that in 2020 and the organization that I'm with right now, it is by far the best work family I've ever had.
Oh,
the only other similar one that we had was Carlton.
Except she used to work with me, and
the only other one, that was 4 people. There's 12 people in my current organization, but still, like that felt very familial, And now it's the same way because we've had those tough conversations.
Yeah.
We've set those boundaries. We've done those things. But
she says it like that because I am like a big proponent of boundaries.
We love boundaries.
Yes,
boundaries are so great.
So, anywho, what other lessons did you learn in 2020?
Oh God, I could go on all day.
I think we should give the audience a quick update on your situation because our last episode was
juicy.
And I
racy,
admittedly, was not in a happy place because I was so upset about what you were going through, and my heart just bled for you. And it was just such an unfair situation thing that you were having to deal with, and I feel like maybe I was a little harsh to other parties, but I just felt like it was such an injustice and so unfair. So give everybody a little update on where things stand now.
So Chloe's dad and I now have 50-50 custody.
It's great.
And we are moving to the area that they live in.
Good.
So that my daughter can grow up very close to both sets of parents.
Which is ideal.
Which is ideal.
Yes.
100%.
I think that's a best case scenario for most kids. Because they want to be with their dad. They want to be with their mom.
Yes.
And hopefully everything is harmonious now and working out better.
Well, and we're also going through co-parenting counseling.
Yeah.
So we're working on how to be the best co-parents for Chloe.
Got it. Very cool.
Yes.
I love it.
Super cool.
And Chloe's happy. I just saw her last weekend and she's still her glowing, happy
She's the
little
best kid
self.
ever, man.
She is
I love
the
her
best
so much.
kid. I love that little
She's
girl.
the best.
Well, good. Thank you for that update because I know a lot of people are probably curious.
I know. Cliffhanger.
Because
that last episode.
Yeah. We even thought about taking it down and we didn't. Yeah.
Well, actually, we did.
Oh, we did take it down.
We did take it down.
Oh, okay.
Because there was an agreement between Chloe's dad and I honored my agreement.
Okay,
regardless of whether
good.
I felt like I was in the wrong or not. I honored the agreement.
Fair.
As a means of co-parenting as best as we can.
I think that's the right thing to do. I just to keep things happy and harmonious and everybody on the same page.
Yeah.
I think that was a good move. So, lessons. I guess that's kind of it in a nutshell. It was such a weird year, man.
So weird.
We didn't just have COVID. We had all of this political discontent. We had the Black Lives Matter movement. We had
a crazy election.
Incredibly polarizing election, which I think is still ongoing for those people who were real Trump supporters. I think that
like
that divide is
real
still,
Trump supporters.
Well, I mean, like. The diehards.
Yeah.
I think that
the Trumpers. Isn't that what
the Trumpers.
Trumpers or trumpets or Trumpers?
Well,
I don't know.
if you pay attention,
Taylor would know. I don't know.
If you pay attention to some of the way out there stuff, like the QAnon and all of that, the Patriots is what they're called.
That's what they call themselves now.
That's what they call themselves.
Interesting.
Then I think it's still very, divided for those individuals. But for the majority, I think everyone's like just happy that it's done.
I think that's the consensus too. I know that's the thing for me. And I think the struggle that I have and see with people who did vote for Trump, they're still holding on.
The Patriots.
And I'm like,
the Patriots are holding on.
I'm like,
I think everyone else is just like, okay, the door is shut. Let's move on. Let's move on. Yeah. So I'm excited about that. And I think a lot of good stuff came out of I'm so divided on the Black Lives Matter movement. I was 100% pro.
Yeah. Even so pro that we had multiple people on our podcast to talk about it.
And I mean, I was just gangbusters, and I still support the movement. I just don't support necessarily the LLC.
Yeah.
But
the organization.
The organization.
Right.
Yeah. I don't support some of the stuff that they support, but the movement itself, most certainly.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of good stuff came from that.
I think so too. I think that in the conversations that we had on our podcast about it too, I think it made me more aware to the struggles that I've never faced in my life. Yeah. But I also, the biggest thing that I have is that I think that every situation should be looked at per situation.
Yep.
I think that I know that I know that I don't go into any situation with any malice that I personally know that I'm not racist.
Right.
And I don't feel like that I should be made to feel guilty just because of the color of my skin.
Yep.
Because I personally don't persecute anyone or hate them because of the color of their skin.
No, but I'll tell you some of the dialogue that we've had over the last year. One thing that opened my eyes is I knew what white privilege was.
Yeah.
But I never really thought about it in terms of how I had benefited from it.
Right.
Over the course of my life and my career.
Yes.
I just really didn't even think about it.
Right.
You know, I just did life and
that's just
capitalized on the opportunities that I was lucky enough to get and never once stopped to think that it was privilege.
Right.
Until all of this started to come out and they're like, wow, and if you don't think that you are how would we say that? If you've benefited from white privilege, then I think you're blind.
Yeah.
I really do.
What do you mean white privilege exists?
I mean, I have people very close to me that still don't believe
that are in
it.
denial. It's not just a river in Egypt.
Yeah. You know, and I was a cute girl back in my 20s.
First of all, you're still cute. Be quiet.
Thanks for saying that.
You're welcome.
But I mean, I was a white girl. I was a cute girl. You know, I think
I'm a white girl. I'm a cute girl.
Right.
Continue.
I really think that I was given, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I was given opportunities.
Yes.
That if I would have
based on your appearance, based on your skin color.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or even just
because if you were unattractive, if you're white, like, I know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you know, try being like an unattractive person or being a black person
or an overweight person,
trying to do first of all, just as smart, just as capable, just as good, if not better.
Yeah.
And I got the opportunity. So if I can't call that privilege, what do you call that?
That it's clearly privilege.
So anyway.
And I think recognizing it, owning it, and then using what powers you do have for the better, as opposed to denying that it even exists.
I
mean, come on, man.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of another positive from all of that is the dialogue, people talking. I know there are some people who feel like it is polarizing, it's divisive, but I'm like, I think you kind of have to go through those rough waters, and have a little bit of that before you can come out and be whole again, if you will.
And it's funny because there's a guy who follows me on Instagram who used to work out at my gym, and he and I have political discussions all the time. He's black.
Yeah.
And black is not a bad word. I've recently learned that.
Well,
you can say black.
But I didn't know that.
I know.
It was my black friends who told me that.
I know.
Yeah.
Black with a capital B. But black is not a bad word. But also, like, he and I we have Discord, and it's really good.
Yeah.
Like, he asks questions from his perspective. I ask questions from my perspective. Right. At the end of the day, we come together. And I think that's the problem with the polarity with the news, because you have the extremes on one side and the extremes on the other, and they don't ever want us to talk to each other.
I think there's an agenda there. I don't care what anybody says. I think
there's a divisive agenda.
There is an agenda with the media. So we got.
They do not want us to communicate. They do not want us to come together. And the funny thing is, though, it works because
of course it works.
I have friends that will literally say about other friends, "Oh, she's a liberal. She's too liberal for me, so I can't hang out with her."
Yeah.
That's the problem.
That is the problem.
That's the problem.
And it's like liberals are insane. Conservatives are crazy. Liberals are insane. It's like it's all these labels.
Well, and I hate the labels too. Like everybody asks me, even my coworker. I will not say his name to put him on blast, but even my coworker was like, I have a really hard time believing that you feel the way that you feel, and I'm like, well. No offense, but I don't have to prove myself to you. If I tell you this is the way that I feel, that's the way that I feel about whatever issue it may be, right? But he's like, what do you call yourself? I don't call myself anything. I call myself a centrist, or at the very maximum, maybe a libertarian. Maybe.
Well, I think the disappointing thing is once upon a time. Now listen, politics, religion, those have always been sort of the
faux pas.
Yeah, don't
talk about
Don't talk about politics and religion.
Or money. I can't talk about
Don't talk about that either. But I will say, at least you could have those conversations for the most part.
Yes.
Without losing friendships,
right,
without being kicked out of the family,
right,
without being censored in any way.
Now, is there car conversations on the way home about how someone feels after you leave an event? Absolutely. But you still showed up and you still spoke to that person.
Now,
you can't.
You don't even, if you're smart, now you really don't talk about it because, I mean, people are so passionate and so
emotionally driven
that it will literally drive a wedge in family relationships and personal relationships,
friendships,
and
anything.
Like if you are a Trump supporter, then you are absolutely 100% a racist. Right. Period.
Yep.
If you are a Biden supporter, you are a social justice warrior and you don't care about the economy.
And a socialist.
And you don't care about the economy. And it's like, wow.
Well, everybody just calm down.
Stop.
Hey, can we sing Kumbaya real quick and just bring it down to level?
My Lord. Wow. Insane. That's so disappointing.
That was a huge thing about 2020 is just the politics and like letting it go, and then QAnon and all these things. And I'm like,
I have to tell you about QAnon.
Tell me about it.
Okay. So I have a friend who enlightened me around the whole QAnon thing. Yes. I didn't know anything about it.
And I'm sure there's people listening that don't know what it is too.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it. So there is an individual that is called Q, and that is an unnamed, unknown source, if you will, that is wanting to please everybody out there who is a QAnon supporter.
I know. I was about to say we're about to get hazed by Q supporters.
I'm just trying to explain it the best way I know. But people who really understand it are going to be like, "You got that so wrong." And
that's okay. Please correct us.
So please
send us an email,
please. But anyway, there's Q, who is this unnamed person who wants to go after the big state, which is all the politicians.
Yeah.
Like obviously they're Trump supporters. They think Trump is the savior. He's the one that's going to save us all.
For sure.
And so they have the Anon is the individuals that follow him, or the supporters, and those are called patriots. And so those are the ones that's like it's almost like the soldiers for Q.
Sure.
It's a really interesting thing. So nonetheless, go ahead.
No, I'm good. I'm just like marching like a soldier.
Yep. So I go to lunch with a friend. And I didn't know anything about any of this. I'm super in the dark because I don't listen to news. I think it's damaging. I think it's negative, and it just impacts the way I feel. So I really kind of cut it out.
And the Chinese say that the news in China is propaganda, so everybody knows they're not to watch it. They're like, I don't understand why Americans still watch the news.
Yeah,
and I'm like, dang.
I think we're getting there.
Hope so.
Getting closer anyway. So she explains to me kind of what the QAnon, and it's really not QAnon. I guess if you start doing the research, it's Q and then the Anon. But nonetheless, she starts to share like all of the prophecies and the things that are going to happen. And I'm not getting into all of that, but I just will say it was a little interesting. So I went home and she would send me these videos, and she would, send me all where to get the updates and everything. And so I was listening to it and I was watching it.
Sure.
I was like, this is wildly entertaining. It is like watching the best movie, like the action movie on TV. It's like, what's going to happen?
Thriller,
I don't know.
Drama.
Didn't really believe in any of it, but I was just like, this is really fascinating. Like that there's people that really believe this.
They're all in.
All in.
All in.
All in. You know what? At the end of the day, it's like, you do you. Like, it's good. And everybody just do what you want to do.
Living your best life.
But I did find it interesting and just kind of reading up on what the belief systems were.
Yes.
I didn't adopt them, but I will say it is fun to know what they are.
I know.
So,
and Joe Rogan made a good point on one of his podcasts recently, and he was like, listen, okay, for every person that's on YouTube subscribing to Q, blasting out news updates, some people's lives are just really boring.
Yeah.
And it's really easy and convincing if you have good music, good lighting, good camera, for people to believe you, to believe what you're saying.
So here's a funny story. There is a guy, I think it's Simon. He's one of the Q, one of the ones who is closest to Q and gets all the updates and spreads them to the Patriots. And Simon something. I can't remember his last name now. But anyway, my friend, a lot of the videos that she would send me were him and sharing, okay, here's what's going to happen and everybody get prepared. And this is the update. And this is what Q says today. So I was like, well, does anybody research Simon's background? So I started looking into Simon. Y'all, listen.
What's up with Simon?
Oh my God. Simon, he's this UK dude, was used to be a part of is it MI3 or their police force or okay, I think it's MI3 or there's MI2. I don't know, whatever. We're being laughed at right now by people who really do know.
All of them.
Nonetheless.
They hate us.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so he's this UK dude, and back in I want to say 04, 05, or 06, he came out and said he had been abducted by aliens. He had fathered an alien child, and he was having marital problems because he was cheating on his wife with his alien girlfriend that would beam him up periodically so that they could have this ongoing relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm just going to leave it there.
I don't know if you know who.
I don't know what else I need to say.
I don't know if you know who L. Ron Hubbard is, but he is in the Guinness Book of World Records for writing the most sci-fi books.
Yeah.
The most publications for sci-fi, and he's also the creator of Scientology. So, it's really easy to be convincing if you're charismatic and personable, and you can get a following.
And who knows? Maybe this guy is beamed up frequently.
Beam me up, Scotty.
To have an affair with his alien girlfriend.
Beam me up, Simon.
I don't know all the things of the world. I don't know what's happening and what's not, in the alien world. But are they real? I don't know. But it just seems a little far-fetched.
Well, and the things that really got me was people really believe in this stuff.
I know.
And when people on the internet are saying there's going to be 3 days of darkness, or there's going to be this, or there's going to be that, or this is the coup that's going to happen, or whatever. But when it doesn't happen, that's when you guys lose credibility. And it's not that I'm saying that you're wrong, but I'm saying when it doesn't happen, how do you explain that?
Well, and I think even bigger than that is the individuals who really are believing it, and then it doesn't happen, then what for them? They're so bought
It becomes almost like a religious thing, too.
It's almost like a cult in a way. And I feel bad for the people who are so in it.
So bought in.
They have lost all sense of normalcy, and it is all consuming, and it becomes every single thing they think about. Every waking moment is attributed to that, and they just lose, I think, a little bit of the sense of reality. And what about your kids? What about your life? What about your future? And I know that's the problem, is these people don't think there is going to be any of a future, because
there's going to be 3 days of darkness.
Well, I think they think there's 3 weeks of darkness, and anyway, it's just nuts.
Hashtag rabbit hole.
And listen, if my friend is listening to this, I love you. I thank you for opening my eyes and definitely sharing all of that with me, because I didn't know any of it.
Yeah. And it's better to be well informed whether you believe it or not.
I mean,
my mom was one of those people.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
My mom called me and told me literally there was going to be 3 days of darkness because she's following all this Q stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I will give you the benefit of the doubt. But when it doesn't happen, that's where I'm like...
Well, and that's what happened. So, okay, this is I can't believe I'm going to admit this, but I did, buy
you
stuff.
Had your pack.
I
did.
You had
your survival pack.
I did. And it wasn't even that I believed in the mission of what they were saying. It was just well, if something does happen, I don't want to be that person that was I knew, but I didn't plan. So, and honestly, 15 years ago, I used to listen to Glenn Beck every day.
Yeah.
And he used to always talk about, having a plan or a stash of
a little
food
tiny
and water
prep case.
Yeah. And not even for something political to happen, but something
war.
Whatever. Well,
whatever.
Not even that. If it's just a weather situation, but just always being prepared and not being the people that are out there left, to scramble.
You got to be the ant, not the grasshopper, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that the thing?
Yeah. So I did heed that warning from that perspective, and I did make sure that I had, and I'm not that person that went and got 17 things of toilet paper, and I'm trust me, you all have your toilet paper, or it's not that you were missing any because of me.
2020.
It was just basic stuff, just a little bit extra in the event that there's a lights out situation that we're covered. But
the power grid goes down because they were predicting that too. So.
Yeah.
And you had some bullets. You had some ammo.
Did I?
You had some ammo.
I don't know. Did I?
You had some MREs.
I might have an in on getting bullets when nobody can find them.
Meals ready. Oh, snap, Shapiro. We're going there. No, I think that all of that stuff coming out too. And again, it's kind of like we talked about having a slowdown, really putting things in perspective. Right. And then we have all this extra time. Yeah. We have all this extra time to watch the news. We have all this extra time to keep up with it and to be offended and to be triggered and to be all those things, especially with the Black Lives Matter, the riots, the looting, all of that stuff, the protesting. separate from that, the riots, the looting, etc., like
So
all of the
much.
things, everything about it, the election,
So
everything.
much.
I think that 2020 was the most insane year I've ever seen since I was alive.
Insane.
Since I've been alive.
I mean, and there's so many different things that just kept popping up. It's like, what next? God, are you serious?
Oh my God, can this year be over? It was funny because it was the longest and the fastest year ever, I feel like. It went super fast, but dear God, those days were long.
Yeah.
And so dramatic.
So long.
So on a personal level, though, what did you learn in 2020 outside of those political and conspiratorial things?
Personal level, I learned that, here's the thing. I don't have kids at home, and I think the people that really got the great lessons were those that have kids.
Mm-hmm.
And, they learned a true appreciation for our school system, I think, and for not having to be a teacher at home and try to work at the same time. But in addition to that, I think they learned how to slow down and appreciate their families.
Yeah,
I didn't have that. Like, I've been an empty nester for a long time. So,
and I'm still so young, so crazy.
But truly, I didn't get that. In fact, when we all shut down initially, my husband was so excited because he said, "Oh my gosh, you can't go anywhere. You can't bring people over. This is so great.
You can't make me go anywhere.
You can't make me go anywhere." Yeah, he was like, "This is
ideal.
Great. Like, we're shut in together and it's going to be great." 2 weeks in, he was like, "When are you going back to work?"
He's like, "Can you leave?
GTFO? Where are you going to go? You got nowhere to go?
Get out. Get out."
Yeah. So that
Which
was
is
kinda
so funny because Matt, it's so funny. I don't know how we did this.
Matt?
Who's Matt? Well, he's like
her significant other.
He's like the best person ever, but also
That's her honey, everyone.
Yeah, we literally are in relationships with the same people. Yeah, the world is ending. We have to save all of our money. And this is pre-2020. This predates 2020.
Yeah.
But the world is ending. We have to save all of our money. Yeah. We are antisocial.
Oh, you're talking about like our honeys being the same personality?
Same.
Oh my gosh. We can't get them to go anywhere without bitching. We can't. It's like, oh my God, why do I have to do this? I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to do anything. Why can't we just stay home? Oh, you mean like every other night? Okay, let's do that. Brad is on the verge of bankruptcy and has been
every day
for 23 years.
But he's not.
Not
even close.
Nope.
Not even close.
No, but he is. In his head. So yeah, that's my
Doomsday,
husband.
24/7.
My gosh, it's all ending.
Matt's not like yes, Matt is my honey, and one day I will get him on this damn podcast because so many people have been asking me questions about him. They're like, "When is he going to come on?" And I'm like, "Guys, you don't understand
about the health and fitness stuff, or
just about period."
We should get.
They just want to know him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
We need to get both of them on so we can get them to explain themselves.
We should totally talk about this. We should totally. Oh my God, I would love it. But yeah, so it's like so many people have been asking, but also like just trying to get out of the house, just trying to go places, and then it very much has to be like on their terms.
And super regimented. They're both regimented.
Oh, yeah. So Matt's not like the world is ending every day, but it's also like if I go to the store and spend $1.50 on like a protein bar, he's like, "That's so wasteful. We had food at home. What are you doing?"
So April told me this story last week, and I shared a story with her that, about 10, 12 years ago, Brad and I, we actually did have a period, it was maybe 15 years ago, we did have a period where we had a significant amount of debt.
Yeah.
I had gone into real estate, and I had, so I wasn't bringing in a lot of money at first.
Right.
And I was using a credit card to buy like my signs and all of the real estate stuff that you have.
Yeah.
And before I knew it, I had like, I don't know, $7,000 in credit card debt that he didn't even know about because I wasn't telling him.
Yeah.
So long story short, in that period, he's like, "You're leaving real estate. You're going back to work because this is stupid. Like, you're going to pay this off. And then once you pay it off, if you want to go back to real estate, fine, but you're paying this off."
Yeah.
Well, in that period, he treated us like we were devastated, like financially, like we had nothing.
Yes.
That was not the case. But that was Brad's mentality. So this one particular weekend, I needed laundry soap. And I said, "Hey, I'm going to run to the store and get laundry detergent." And Brad said, we can't have that right now. And I'm like, I'm sorry, wait. I'm sorry,
you're telling me I can't wash my clothes?
I can't have laundry
I can't
detergent?
wash my clothes.
He's like, "No, we don't have the money." And I'm like, "Oh, this has to end. This has to end.
And we're done.
Right now.
And we're done.
We're done.
And
like,
we're done.
I'm done playing the game."
And I think that ultimately, he's calmed down a lot because
Matt or
Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not, I don't know about your honey, but
No, he definitely had. Well, since those days, because I just
but
don't
also
tolerate it anymore.
You separated your finances. We
were actually always separate, just because I brought kids into the marriage and he didn't have kids, and so I didn't want to have to explain every little dollar, which also allowed me to rack up debt that he didn't know about. So now, obviously, we've kind of fixed that problem. But I would say splitting our finances definitely helped.
Right. And I think eventually we'll probably get to it because we combined finances because of the court stuff and going through the custody battle and knowing like what is coming in, what needs to be paid for. And like, just because he's in a better financial situation than me. So we would put things on certain credit cards, pay them off immediately. Right. But knowing that whatever money I brought in went to pay that bill off, or you know what I mean?
Sense,
like whatever.
Makes sense. Are we timing ourselves? We
are not timing ourselves, but I think we should probably go for about 5 more minutes.
Okay, cool.
And then we'll be good.
Okay, cool.
But because we just, rabbit hole.
I mean, we do. It's like we have all these
we're
agenda.
Really good at
we have these agenda items, and then we totally forget.
We're not really good at like sticking to the plan.
Not really,
like,
no. And it's really funny when we have guests on because they're like, "What's the agenda?" I'm like, "Trust me, you don't need it." And at the end, they're like, "Well, that was a rabbit hole." Exactly.
Also really fun. Really fun.
Also really fun.
But yeah, I think that ultimately, I think he's kind of cooled a little bit his jets about the monitoring of the spending all the time. But I also see but it's ebb and flow, right?
Yeah,
because right now he's super into the stock market. He's been into the stock market for about 8 months.
Did he capitalize on the GameStop sitch?
Oh my gosh, yes. That's all I've been hearing about.
He did. See, Brad didn't catch on to that until they'd already shut it down.
No.
Oh, what was that? Capitalism? Huh? Or the illusion of capitalism.
Wait,
stay tuned.
what?
Next episode.
Oh my God, for real. We should have them on to talk about that. We should have them on to talk about that.
Oh, that was insane. And it's still to be
an illusion.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, I thought this was a capitalist.
Insider trading is only for those who make enough money. Okay, let's be realistic.
If you're not rich enough,
if you're not a 1%er, you can't do that.
No.
That's not how this works.
What is it at? It was 400, right?
484, I think was the top. I could be wrong, but 40, it got up there.
Wow, that's insane. And it was
GameStop, which is a company that's local to DFW.
Right.
So always on a target list. Like every company I've been at. Like it's so crazy.
Yeah, they're kind of a cool group. But wow, I wonder what they're thinking on the inside.
Dude, that's literally, I want to get into one of their heads and be like, bro.
Exactly.
What do you do about this? And you guys blew up. I mean, on the news everywhere, national news.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Somebody is a PE firm going to come in and buy GameStop? Is somebody going to come in to revive this? Like, are we going to rebrand?
It's interesting to watch because to me, it's kind of like back in the day, the Blockbuster versus Netflix kind of debacle.
Yes.
It's like, what are they going to do to reinvent and to stay live because they're brick and mortar? And so it just makes me wonder where it goes from here.
It's funny. There was at the DFW Startup Week back in 2018, I went and the former CEO of Blockbuster, Jim Keyes, who was also the CEO of 7-Eleven at one point, talked about Blockbuster and the reason why they went under and how they had the opportunity to buy Netflix.
Well, Netflix wanted to partner with them. Yeah. He actually pitched them.
Yeah.
And they laughed him out of the room.
Yes.
Out of the board
But that's
meeting.
what happens when you don't adapt and change, man.
That's exactly right. Done. All right. So
there was one more thing I wanted to say, but I can't remember. It was something about like PE firms or investing so I feel like the same thing that happened with GameStop, and Matt and I were having this conversation the other day because Matt politically doesn't really align with anything. He's sort of like me. I tend to steer a little bit right as I get older. Yeah. More conservative on ideals and beliefs, etc. But he is more like future, the Green New Deal. He's a big supporter, but he has a lot of stock in Tesla.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, not a house divided, but we both have different perspectives.
Yeah, fair.
And I think that the same thing that happened with GameStop is the same thing that happened with banning Trump from Twitter. And I think that these organizations these tech companies have way too much power.
People are starting to pay attention
Blows
too.
My
People are starting to pay
mind.
attention. Finally,
there were
the
so
veil is being lifted, and it wasn't even intentional.
Dude, there were so many memes on the internet about conservatives. Like they were like, "Oh, you finally feel like something's not working in your advantage."
Yeah.
First time? You a first timer here, or what's going on? First time for you? Pop your cherry? What's up?
Oh my God!
It blew my mind though because I was like, "This is exactly the same."
Yeah.
Robin Hood Prince John, putting a stop to GameStop being purchased is the same thing as AWS banning Twitter from their platform.
That's exactly right.
Banning Parler, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And that's a joke.
Yeah. We can't. That's the thing. I'm so happy that these things are. I hate that they're happening, but I love that they're happening in the public eye.
I love that they're happening.
Yeah, the veil is being lifted, and people are starting to wake up.
Because it seems like these conversations were always held behind closed doors, but now they're literally right in front of our faces. And if we don't recognize and wake up, and if we don't see. If we don't see the power in numbers by the GameStop situation, we really don't know how powerful we are.
That's right.
A bunch of Redditors.
Yeah, I know. And
literally almost blew up the stock market.
And I love that it's a lot of these like young, like
I love it.
Young people. And
they call them tendies because they're saying that they're like guys who eat chicken tenders in their mom's basement. Like that's what they call them. And there's like a song about a parody song or something, but it's like, look at that situation and think about everything else as a whole.
Christian, my son-in-law, texts my husband to say, what should I do? Should I buy? Like this was back on Tuesday or whatever. Yeah. Like, should I buy? And Brad at that time actually didn't even know what was going on. Right. And so he sends Christian a link to an article about what's going on. And Christian's like, yeah, thanks, man. Obviously I already know that. And that's why I'm asking you, should I buy?
I'm here. But Christian was part of that thread on Reddit.
Yes.
Yeah. So on the, part of that subreddit or whatever.
Exactly. So, all right.
Well, we definitely didn't talk about anything that we wanted to talk about, but we talked about some really good stuff.
Next time.
Which is the best thing about this podcast.
Well, give us the plug. Tell people where you can find us.
Absolutely. So you can always find us on our website, www.biggirlpantspod.com, and we are renovating our website.
We are.
We're going to revamp and make it look all pretty, work with a professional, etc. You can check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and
YouTube now.
YouTube.
Did you say that?
This video will be on YouTube. We are fresh AF.
It's for real.
Welcome to the relaunch.
It's real. We're legit. AF, too legit.
To quit.
To quit.
MC Hammer.
Love you.
Hey, hey.
Bye.
Bye.